For as long as there has been government, there has been tax. And wherever there is tax, there is also tax avoidance. People who would rather not pay tax, and who can blame them, will devise clever schemes to avoid incurring that liability. Westraders came up with a very clever scheme where they purchased shares on the open share market, took control of companies, and stripped those companies of their assets. This left the companies with basically no value, and so they could then sell the shares at a massive loss and claim the loss of capital value as a tax deduction. The tax office challenged the interpretation of the tax legislation which was said to allow this scheme to operate. Everyone, even Westraders, openly acknowledged that it was a tax avoidance scheme. The question was whether or not it was lawful. The majority judges in the High Court found that the scheme was lawful. However, Justice Lionel Murphy gave a powerful dissenting judgment. He said the court should interpret the legislation to give effect to the intention of Parliament, which could never have been to allow tax evasion. He said the history of interpretation shows the existence of two schools: the literalists, who insist that only the words of an act should be looked at, and those who insist that the judicial duty is to interpret acts in the way Parliament must have intended, even if this means a departure from the strict literal meaning. It is universally accepted that in the general language it is wrong to take a sentence or statement out of context and to treat it literally so that it has a meaning not intended by the author. It is just as wrong to take a section of a tax act out of context, treat it literally, and apply it in a way that Parliament could not have intended. In my opinion, strictly literal interpretation of a tax act is an open invitation to artificial and contrived tax avoidance. Progress towards a free society will not be advanced by attributing to Parliament meanings which no one believes it intended, so that income tax becomes optional for the rich, while remaining compulsory for most income earners. While Justice Murphy was in dissent on this occasion, his statements about statutory interpretation are a powerful description of the interpretive approach which has now become dominant in Australian law.